Philosophy, like any field, can be thought of as a series of revolutions, and the 20th century in English-speaking philosophy was dominated by two important revolutions. At the turn of the 20th century, the first revolution involved the realization that the tools of logic, a brand new discipline for the formal analysis of language, could be used to shed light on philosophical problems. Members of this revolution believed that by discovering the hidden logical structure of the words that we use, we could make progress on problems that had vexed philosophers for 2,000 years. Well, for half a century, this was a dominant way of doing philosophy. But by mid-century, people were disappointed with the results. They felt that the search for hidden logical structures hadn't made progress on the philosophical problems that were being attacked. In fact, they thought they had sometimes created new problems by using this method. Problems that were really pseudo-problems, ones that needed to be dissolved, eliminated, rather than solved. In the mid-20th century, a second revolution took place. People moved away from the logical structure of language and started looking at the surface. How do ordinary people speak? What is the way that the people who use language, you and I, going to reveal about the meanings of our words? The ordinary language movement was extremely influential. For another half-century, ordinary language philosophy had a tremendous impact on the profession. People who had been tutored in both the logical tradition and the ordinary language tradition believed that philosophical problems could be understood by using both of these resources, looking at ordinary speech and looking at logic to discover meaning and truth. But we think there's been another revolution. After 100 years of linguistic analysis, we feel that philosophical problems remain in place, largely untouched from the early part of the 20th century. In fact, we think the very methods that have been deployed by the philosophers who have been at the center of these revolutions have been inadequate, even in discovering the meanings of words. After all, what we mean by the words that we use is determined not entirely by what's available to us through introspective access. Very often linguistic meanings depend on hidden structures in the mind, structures that can only be revealed using the methods of a new approach to discovering the nature of the mind, which is the cognitive sciences. Cognitive science is an approach to the mind that emerged in the mid-20th century, but only integrated with philosophical methods towards the end of the 20th century. Cognitive scientists believe that to understand the mind, we need a multi-pronged attack. We need to use psycholinguistics. We need to use psychology. We need to use computational models, cognitive neuroscience, anthropology, and any field whose observational techniques and computer modeling and empirical approach more broadly construed can lead to insights in how the mind works. By following a multi-pronged approach, the deepest secrets of the mind can be revealed. Philosophers who thought they could do this by reflection from the armchair, we think were gravely mistaken. And in the last 5 or 10 or 15 years, philosophers have increasingly brought in this battery of resources to solve problems that have been addressed by philosophers for 2 millennia. We think the problems that Plato addressed, the problems that Aristotle addressed, the problems addressed by the major philosophers in the modern period, like Descartes and Hume, can be illuminated by using new scientific resources that were hitherto unavailable. That is the third revolution.